Why do I worship? I worship because God is a God of second chances and new beginnings. 7 years ago, my life was drastically changed.
And he is jealous for me.
My husband and the father of my 2 boys, who were 2 and 4 at the time, was killed in a motorcycle accident at the age of 24. We were alone. Within hours of hearing of his death, it was told to me by a friend of the family, who is also a pastor, that he had driven by the scene of the accident and God had impressed upon his heart to pray for the salvation of that person. He didn't know who the person was, he was just being obedient to God, and he did what he was told. He later came to find out, through the EMTs, that 3 of the 5 EMTs working on him were born-again Christians who were also told by God to pray for his salvation. Why do I worship God? I worship God because God knew at this time in my life that my husband was not a believer and that I assumed he was not going to go to heaven. God made it a point to let me know that he would be okay. And he also had another chance to show me his grace by telling me that even in his dying moments, God was there for him and he gave him a second chance. So now I can tell my children the story of what God did for their father and did for the rest of the family, in knowing that he is in heaven and he is with him. That is why I worship, because this story will go past my children, it can go to their children, it can be spread all over to tell of God's grace. That is why I worship.
These afflictions eclipsed by glory.
Give the Lord another hand clap to praise Him. Everything that He's doing. Listen, one of the things, that video was hilarious. I didn't know they put the bloopers in there of me, so we're going to have a staff meeting tomorrow, and we'll be talking. No, I'm joking. But listen, next Sunday we are going to be taking part in baptism. I'll be honest with you, one of my favorite types of services is a baptism service, so I'm pumped about it. And if there's somebody in here today that you haven't been baptized, or maybe you want to get rebaptized, you need a double dose, as I said, a double dunk, then you need to make sure you sign up this Sunday at the Resource Center before you leave. This morning we're going to be talking about the topic of desperation. And if there's anyone in this room today who has walked through a desperate situation, can I see your hand today? You've walked through a desperate situation at some point in your life. Maybe you would say, Kyle, I'm in a desperate situation. Let me tell you about this story. I believe I've used this illustration before, but there was a day when we had at my house, I was going through high school, and there was a day when we had a few cats at my house. Now, I absolutely hate cats, by the way. I hate cats. Any cat lovers in the house? All right. Well, good for you. I won't tell you how I got rid of these cats. But either way, one day I had walked outside to take the trash out to my truck. And I threw it in the back of my truck. Didn't think anything of it. That was a normal routine for me. But on this particular day, I came back in the house and didn't think anything about it. But later on, I went outside and I started hearing something rustling around in the back of my truck. And I was like, man, what's in the back of my truck? You know, I'll be honest, I had no gun, no bat, no nothing. So whatever was about to come out, I didn't know what it was. So I get in the back of the truck, and this trash bag starts moving. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, what is this? And so stupidly, I go over there, and I rip the bag open even more, and out comes this cat, one of our cats. And around this cat's head is a Campbell's soup can. Anybody ever seen something like this? I've never seen it in my life. And I start panicking a little bit. And when I panic, I say things I don't mean. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Oh, y'all better act real up in here. Okay, exactly. Anyway, so I'm panicking, I'm freaking out, and I run in the house. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to get this can off of this cat's head? And the first thing I reach for is what? Anybody know? Scissors. Well, scissors cannot cut a Campbell's soup can. I will assure you of that. So don't even try. So the next thing I did was I went and got some pliers, and I was limited on tools as it was. So I'm trying anything that I can to get this cat's head out of this can. And nothing worked for me. And I'm out here and I'm pulling, and I'm like, crap, I'm about to pull this cat's head off. And so that didn't work. And so my mom comes over there, and she was a genius. And she said, Kyle, why don't you go get some butter out of the refrigerator? I'm like, what am I going to do with butter? And she said, you're going to put it around its neck, and then it's going to slide off. I said, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. She said, try me. I said, okay. So I went and got the butter, and I put it around this cat's head. And sure enough, my mom, being the genius that she was, how about any mamas, y'all know what I'm talking about? You tell your kids something, just listen, baby, I know what I'm talking about. That's what she said. And the cat's head eventually came out of the can. But I'll tell you this, I've never heard a cat wail like I did that day. That cat was freaking out. And I'll be honest, if I was the cat and you were the cat, what would you do? You'd freak out too if your can was, you know, your head was stuck in a can. And so anyways, I hear this cat and I come to the rescue in a sense. I felt like on top of the world after I saved this cat's life. I was like, I'm going to be a veterinarian. I got this thing going on. You know, that whole deal. Anyway, butter was a lifesaver. But I'll tell you this. That cat that day was in a desperate situation. And the cat had no idea how it was going to get itself out of that can or out of that desperate situation. And many people in the room today, at some point or another in your life, or maybe currently, you feel like the cat in the can. And you don't know how you're going to get out of the situation. You don't know how you're going to get your head unstuck. You're too far in to come out now. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And you're in a desperate situation and you're looking to God and you're saying, God, if you don't show up, I'm not coming out. And today I want to talk to you about a man that if God didn't show up, he wasn't coming out. If you have your Bible, you can turn to the book of Daniel, chapter 6. That's where we're going to be today. But I want to preface this just a little bit, just so you understand what's going on. In the kingdom of Babylonia, there is a king by the name of Belshazzar. And Belshazzar finally he dies, and so then it's time for them to appoint a new king. And so they appoint a new king, and his name is Darius. Darius is 62 years old. And it's now time for him to set up his rule and his reign over this kingdom. And so what he does is he sets up 120, it's called satraps, but what they are is they're governors, and they are to rule the land. Basically, the king at this time didn't want to really do a whole lot. He just wanted to make big decisions, which is, well, I won't go there. Anyway, it's a lot like today's time. And exactly what's going on here is there's 120 governors, and then there's three administrators who oversee those governors. And one of these administrators was Daniel. And how many of you know the story of Daniel in the what? Lion's den. Well, that's where we're going today. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever been in a situation, as a matter of fact, I don't think anybody's ever been in a lion's den. Anybody, if you've been in a lion's den? If you have, man, we need to talk because that's the coolest thing ever. Anybody? No? Okay, good. Well, Daniel is about to be thrown into the lion's den. He's in a desperate situation. I don't know about you, but if I'm in a room full of lions and I ain't got nothing to fight with, I'm scared to death, right? I'm in a desperate situation. I need somebody to show up and do something. And so that's exactly what we're going to see that happens today.